Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be breaking out the next fight for UFC Paris. Up next in a matchup, we have Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Andreas Gustafsson. And Fakhretdinov is 4-0-1 in his last five, with two wins, a draw, and then another two wins. Meanwhile, Gustafsson is 4-1 in his last five. His last loss was about 2 years ago. But since then, he's right a four-fight win streak. Only one of those in the UFC currently, where he absolutely mauled Chaos Williams. Meanwhile, Rinat Fakhretdinov, undefeated in the UFC. And most recently, he beat Brian Battle, destroyed the corpse of Kevin Lee, drew with Zaleski dos Santos, close fight with Nicholas Dalby, and then the robbery win over Carlos Leal. Betting eyes wise, this was interesting because I knew it was going to be a close fight, and it's kind of a pick'em. But originally, Gustafsson was like the underdog. Now the odds have changed. Fakhretdinov is a plus 105, while Andreas is a minus 125. So it's essentially a pick'em. Overall, this fight kind of reminds me of Metabek Orabai versus Mateusz Rebecki. Just move them up a weight class, because both are powerful wrestlers, strong as fuck. Just overall, like the type of physical strength and wrestling they have are the kinds where they just kind of grind their opponents to dust. Just suffocating wrestling. Like with Fakhretdinov, easily his best performance was his Brian Battle win, where he put on a wrestling clinic. Just hitting just about every takedown on Brian Battle, you were looking at it like, wow, what a phenom. Especially with how good Brian Battle has been doing. Then he destroyed Kevin Lee. I know it's the corpse. I know it's like not the good version of Kevin Lee. But so it was impressive, like that jab to the guillotine choke, chokes him unconscious. Impressive. But then these last three fights, I gotta be honest, I feel like Rinat Fakhretdinov is kind of overrated with how it is. Now, Zaleski dos Santos, he's a good grappler. He is a savvy vet. So I can definitely see where he's competitive enough to make it a draw. Then Nicholas Dalby fight. Dalby is definitely a dog, and he's always been a good underdog. And I kind of thought he won that fight, if I'm being honest. And then this robbery to Carlos Leal is just inexcusable to me. Those Abu Dhabi judges just rob Leal. It should be a loss. But you can't change the results. You can only say your opinion. And brutally speaking, I think he's overrated. Now, he does have great skills. His wrestling is top-notch. His striking is all right. He has some good power, for sure. I can't say, though, like, his technique is all that awe-inspiring. Like, there are times he'll just wing overhands, but sometimes he also does that to go for a level change. So, it is what it is with his striking. Some strikers, it's just their striking is a mean to end to get to the wrestling, get to the takedown. You see it with, like, a Suam Abayev and fighters like those. Fakhretdinov's one of them. Now, if there's one aspect of his game that's always been worrisome, it's his cardio. You see clearly he gasses by like round 3, and he's not the same fighter. Their Zaleski fight, that's where like a lot of the trouble happened, was in that third round when Zaleski riled back to get it, like I think it was a 10-8 to get the draw. And then like Leal fight, he was just sucking wind and just getting really exhausted. So now he does fight well under exhaustion. He does go for takedowns. He still strikes, and he's still looking to knock your block off. But so it's a problem. He does gas out by the third. Now Andreas Gustafsson, on the other hand, is the purest definition of a mauler. He is incredibly strong. He's fought at middleweight before. He has like a win over Christian Leroy Duncan in the regional scene. That should like show how good he is. All Gustafsson wants to do is charge at you, get you in the clinch, and then make life hell. He has fantastic knees, grinding, I just mean truly grinding pressure and pace. Whether he's taking you down, he's on top, whether he's just mashing you against the fence, doesn't matter. His elbows are nasty. Just absolutely nasty. There's this one fight of his, you can look it up on YouTube, it's on the UFC Fight Pass. One of the bloodiest fights I've ever fucking seen in my life. Just nose destroyed, gushing blood. I can't remember his opponent's name off the top of my head, but just look up Andreas Gustafsson on YouTube. You'll find that fight pretty easily on Fight Pass. It's an amazing fight. Point is, the guy doesn't just fight through exhaustion. I mean, he's got really good cardio. He can keep that grinding pace, that high level pace for 15 minutes. You saw in his debut, the Chaos Williams. But the dude can fight through damage so well. I am telling you, his nose was one of the worst things I've ever seen in a fight, period. Like, worse than Cowboy, worse than, like, Pettis when he's covered in blood. The blood he was spewing was terrifying. But he still fought through and won via ground and pound. Now, overall, I see why this fight's a pick'em. It's very close. Both guys, I think, are the same if you look at their strength, their wrestling. I think Fakhretdinov, technique for technique, is a better wrestler. But still, Andreas kind of neutralizes that with strength. Now, I do think they're both equally strong. Maybe Gustafsson's a little stronger. But still, overall, they have a lot of skills that really counteract each other or like match very well to where it's like, so close. Like I said, their grinding wrestling styles are the same. Their striking is somewhat the same. Now, I think Gustafsson has more weapons, especially in the clinch. He has more weapons to use than Fakhretdinov, and I trust him over 15 minutes to have better form when he's striking in comparison to Fakhretdinov. I think the biggest thing that, for me, why I'm going to lean into it, I'm picking Andreas Gustafsson. I think the biggest lean is the cardio. Gustafsson can keep that pace for 3 rounds. And we've seen it throughout his regional career, throughout his UFC debut. Hell, even like during the Contender Series, which was the second round knockout, his pressure is just unbelievable. And Fakhretdinov doesn't like to get pressured too much. You saw with the Legal fight, like if you pressure him, his takedowns are not as good. But that kind of happens with a lot of wrestlers. You pressure them, then their takedowns get a lot more sloppy. They're a lot more telegraphed. It's easier to predict. It's easier to predict when it's happening. It's easier to defend against. And I think that's what's going to happen. Gustafsson never takes a step backwards. He always moves forward. And with Rinat Fakhretdinov not really having much of a danger factor to where it's like, you're worried. Like with Chaos Williams, he has that power, that God-given power. That's something you would worry with Gustafsson. I don't see the same worry with Rinat Fakhretdinov. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm kind of trashing on him. I think Rinat Fakhretdinov is a good fighter. He's 24-2-1. He's very good. His last loss was years ago, back in 2014. So over a decade. But I just think Gustafsson has the skills. He has the attributes to win. He's as strong as him. His wrestling can match him. His striking is better than him. And I just think the cardio is, at the end of the day, going to win the fight. So, with that said, I am picking Andreas Gustafsson. Does it go all 3 rounds? I do believe so. Rinat Fakhretdinov has shown to be very good at surviving. He's very tough himself. And I can see this being like 29-28, a really close fight. But overall, I do see the 2.5 hitting. I am picking him. I wouldn't put this in a parlay. I wouldn't do that. The fight is really close, and I can see Rinat Fakhretdinov doing moments in the grappling to where like he has more control than Gustafsson, and he could win off control time. I could definitely see that as a possibility. So I would definitely not risk putting Gustafsson on a parlay. But if you want to, that is your own risk. Do it as you wish. That's just how I see it. The fight's just really close to call. But still, I'm picking Gustafsson. I'm thinking 29-28 decision. But that is my prediction for this fight. I thank you all for listening. Next up, it is Brad Tavares versus Robert Brichek. So, I'll see you all for that fight. Take care.